why don't we start? Begin by just checking in and asking yourself if you are completely comfortable. And if the answer is I'm not sure or no, change the position of your limbs. Or maybe even put a bolster or a rolled blanket underneath your knees. Just make sure you're comfortable. Feel your body relating to earth. And please bring your attention to the feeling of the breath moving in and out of your nostrils. And do your best to keep your awareness near the end of your nose. And things you might notice in terms of sensation. It's easier to feel one nostril than the other. Perhaps the breath feels a little bit cooler as it enters the nose and a little bit warmer as it exits. And then begin to follow the breath as it enters the nostrils and travels down deeper into the body, in the direction of your belly. And see if you can follow the smooth sensation of the exhalation in reverse, from the belly up through the torso and then out the nostrils. Perhaps think of the breath like a river. It's flowing, continuous, nostrils towards the belly, and then reversing, belly towards the nostrils. You might enjoy fleshing out the river image. Is the river you're experiencing narrow or wide? Shallow or deep? Meandering or energized? It's possible that the river of breath may not only move from the nostrils to the belly, but you may be able to visualize and sense it shifting down into the legs, towards the feet, and back up and out. So take a few more moments in silence. Feel the river of breath, narrow or wide, shallow or deep, meandering or lively. And continue until movement is what you want to do, what your body wants to do. I'm going to be thinking about the sides of the body, particularly the sides of the torso throughout this practice. So actually what I'd suggest when you begin to move is that you include a little bit of twisting. Right? So you could do the feet on the floor, bridge pose twist. You could do the knees tucked up towards you, little boat twist. Any twist that you'd like to engage in, as well as the movements that are particular to you coming out of Shavasana. Yeah, just go back and forth, side to side a few times. One twist is fine. One particular twist is fine. Repeated multiple times, or you could change your legs. There's also, of course, the option to change the positioning of the arms when twisting. The two most basic are arms wide at shoulder level, or one or both arms overhead. Yeah, so take a little bit of time and twist. Rest in the twist, move through your twist. Maybe once in a while, check back in with your focus from Shavasana, which was, of course, breath movement around the nostrils, or breath progressing like a river into the body. The reason I'm suggesting beginning with twisting in your own way is that, of course, twisting is an asymmetrical motion for the body, a very essential asymmetrical motion, particularly for the spine. And side bending and side releasing is also asymmetrical. And these two movement patterns work very beautifully together. So the side bending practice we'll begin with, the one that works quite nicely in this lying on your back orientation, is the one where you set your legs up either bent or long, and then you use your arms to guide your torso into a side bend. Right? So you're literally lying on the ground in a crescent shape in what it feels like Shavasana, right? And the reason I reference Shavasana is because we're trying to feel the whole upper back resting, the whole back of the pelvis resting, of course your limbs, your skull. So the practice is very simple. I breathe in, I breathe out, and I feel the weight of my body, particularly both sides of my torso resting into the ground. And variations, again, are one or both knees bent. Your elbows can bend as much as you enjoy or as much as necessary in order to rest the upper back. So the suggestion is to go back and forth from one side to the other, sweep your arms overhead and shift into the crescent shape on the other side. Now, one reason to vary the legs is to simply give a little bit more variety in terms of the release throughout the hip socket. Another reason to vary the legs is to offer the position of the legs that allows your lower back to be completely comfortable. Right? So some of us need to bend the knees always in this crescent shape. Some of us are quite comfortable with the legs long. You decide. And please do check in with your lower back, the area around the lumbar spine. Make sure that area feels comfortable and settled. Breathe in and breathe out. Rest your torso fully into the ground. Now, a very basic counter pose for this crescent shape posture is any position where I draw my legs into my chest. So in other words, a little boat. I can do little boat, and of course this helps to release any tension I may have accumulated in my lower back. I could also draw my legs into my chest and then lengthen one or both legs up towards the ceiling. This also will help to flex, lengthen, release the low back, the low spine. All right, so already we have a little repertoire for you to explore. Side bending, twisting, or crescent shape side bending, twisting, and then drawing the legs towards you. All right, so please, why don't you decide how much of each of these groupings or movement patterns you'd like to do. Maybe go through your repertoire one more time. And I'll just mention a few things again about each. If I'm in the crescent shape, I'm focused on two sensations in particular. The entire torso, both the right and the left side, settling. Of course, one side is longer than the other, and experiencing that and feeling that is quite lovely. But I'm really, really checking for myself that both sides of the torso are settled. This facilitates the release of the long side. I'm also checking that my lower back is comfortable, and I'm adjusting my legs accordingly. When I come into little boat, or any of the movements where the legs are long in the air, which could include shaking or swimming your legs around with your legs long, any movement that you enjoy, just continue to feel that the torso, as much of the torso as possible, upper back, back of the rib cage, pelvis, contact well and fully with the ground. If you're twisting or when you're twisting, just keep reminding yourself to feel that the upper back is well settled. If you're resting in the twist, that your pelvis and your legs are heavy to one side and then the other. The attention to grounding in all of these postures allows the posture to help your body release and benefit fully. We could even call the awareness around the breathing a fourth place to go. I go to the feeling of breath around the nostrils. I go to the feeling of breath like a river entering and exiting my body. When you're ready to rest for, say, another minute or so, when you're ready to conclude all the motion, come back to comfort. The definition or the translation of Shavasana is not comfort, but we could make that equation all the time. I'm going to rest, I'm going to do Shavasana, I'm going to be comfortable and give myself the opportunity to feel my whole body, to notice any sensations that arise as I'm resting. When I'm inclined to move actively again, I'll roll over on my side and come to cat pose. So check in with your typical cat pose with your hands, just underneath your shoulders, and roll through your spine a little bit. Now, while you were on your back and releasing the sides of the body, that was releasing your spine. When you were twisting, your spine was benefiting. And certainly when you were resting and breathing, your spine was benefiting. So now just feel what the spine is capable of at this moment in your practice. Head to tail, rolling. Feel your breathing. You may have a natural breath rhythm as you do your cat pose. And of course, there is that variation of cat pose where we attend to releasing the sides of the body. You walk your hands around to one side and just continue your cat pose undulation. If you would like to create more length on the one side, just pause for a moment. Just note for yourself which side is the long side. That's it, yeah. And then reach the leg of the long side straight back. I would ground the toes, right? So you have a heavy leg, a lengthening heavy leg, assisting and releasing the one side of the rib cage, all the way through the side of the torso. If by chance you'd like a little bit more length on that side, you can cross that leg over to the opposite side. Again, I'd plant the toes and the ball of the foot just so that you're not creating any extra effort in that leg. Right? And again, you decide. Maybe that's the right amount, the leg crossed over more fully. Perhaps the leg just straight back is better, or even just bringing the leg back underneath you and bending the knee. And then your choice, you can go directly to the second side. You know, draw the knee under you, walk the hands to the second side. If you prefer to do a little bit in the middle first, a little bit of cat pose in the middle, or even take a rest in child's pose, that might be a very good choice for your body at this given time. All right, so just a little reminder. I would start out just walking the hands to the side. Notice how that feels as you roll through your cat pose. Right? You've created asymmetry in the body. You've got a long side and a shorter side of the torso. The rib cage is also a little bit more splayed on the one side, a little bit more compressed, positively compressed on the other. And we want to feel all of these things. Of course, this is what makes it yoga. I'm feeling, I'm present with the experience. And then if you want to explore the role of the leg on the long side of the torso, first straight back. Yeah, plant the toes or plant the ball of the foot. Undulating the spine may feel lovely. It may feel like it's become quite a small movement. You might even choose not to move the spine and just allow the leg to act for you. You can also take that leg farther to the opposite side. All right, so again, these are options. Choose the option or options that are best for your body. Our goal here is motion through actually moving the body, motion through breathing. Right, and then you decide what your counter pose is, centered cat or symmetrical cat, child's pose. There's always the option of, instead of child's pose, sliding yourself on your belly and just resting in what feels like shavasana on your belly. So important if you come to stillness to give yourself that gift of just noticing. How do I feel now? Am I really letting my body weight rest fully into the floor? Is there anything more I could let go of? If you happen to be resting with your head turned to one side, just make sure you turn your head the other way. We want both sides of the neck to have the opportunity to release. When you're ready to move actively again, start to make your way towards standing. That could be through the standing forward bend, through down dog, could be just coming up to standing. Please try to notice that you are breathing, the feeling of breathing as you make your way upwards. Right. Why don't we do a little bit of twisting again? Let's start actually with the head. Right. So let the arms be heavy and comfortable, and just turn your head a little bit from side to side. Right. So of course, as we turn the head from side to side, we feel the head turning, we feel the neck in motion. Right. But let yourself feel any even subtle action or motion further down the spine. Right? It's quite possible to feel your way all the way down towards a whisper of movement between the shoulder blades. Maybe you feel a little shift in the shoulder girdle itself as you turn your head from side to side. Add in the option of letting the ear move towards the shoulder, so that very simple side bending. I feel my head, my neck, and any movement further down in the body. All right. And then when you feel even, just come back in the middle and take a breath or two. Exhale, pelvis, legs, feet rest. Tadasana, or mountain pose, can be like Shavasana, standing. Okay? It's very possible to feel restful when I'm standing. All right. If your eyes are closed, let them open. Let's do a little bit of circling of the arms just to allow the body to kind of organically go through side bending and twisting. So either fingers interlaced, or holding your forearms, or even hands not even touching one another, but just circle the arms in one direction, or round and round. And just see as you go round and round, and this circle can be tiny, it can be so big that you're sweeping your way right towards the floor and touching on a back bend. You know, whatever size circle you're doing, see if you can notice through sensation, oh, there's a side bend. Oh, there's a little twist. Yeah, just feel those movements, those beautiful movement patterns occurring in your body. That's right, and then go the other way as well. Soft knees, perhaps, just a little released, just to make sure there's no locking. Where's the side bend? Where's the twist? Where's the other side bend? Fabulous. And of course, there's forward bending and back bending in there too. Gorgeous. All right. Maybe finish off with either a tiny forward bend, which could be just the head, right? Or a fuller forward bend, which would be, something like the standing forward bend or downward dog. Just remember, if you're forward bending, the legs can be right underneath you, but they could be wider. It could be wider. You could wiggle them wider. Great. Right. And in whatever size forward bend you're in, see if you can follow the river of breath. Nostrils towards the belly. Inhale. And then on the exhale, belly back towards and out of the nostrils. All right. When it's time, you'll know when it's time. Bend your knees a little, roll up, let your head come up last. Good. Now there's a version of triangle pose where the lower body is symmetrical. It's a little bit unusual, but it's a nice version. So you take the legs a little bit wide. You know, how wide? You can take them as wide as you like, as long as your feeling is that you've got your full footprint. Right? You've got the outer edge of your foot, you've got the heel, you've got the ball of your foot, right? And then you let your arms float up. Right. I like to imagine that I'm either Da Vinci's Perfect Woman sketch or a child sketch, like a stick figure. You know, spine, 2 limbs on top, 2 limbs on the bottom. I exhale, I sink my feet, and then I tip sideways. So here's your crescent shape again. Your lower arm can just rest. Take a breath, sink your feet. And then try the other side. Feet are my anchors, and I shift to the side. Yeah, the head can turn, that's fine. Yeah, sometimes the neck doesn't love the side bend, so the turn for the neck, look down at the ground, beautiful. Good, and then come back up. And let the arms lower. All right. If you feel the need at any time to bring the legs close together again and give them a little shake, please do that. I just want to suggest a few options in terms of maybe doing the triangle pose one more time. So the arms. When I'm resting to the side, my arms can feel like they're resting, one towards the ground and one into the shoulder joint. Or I can feel like I'm kind of reaching with my fingertips towards the ground and towards the ceiling. I might even take that arm that's overhead, truly overhead, and create more length on that one side. Now here's another way to get to the other side. Release the knees a little, you know, just for safety, and then roll your way towards the middle. Right? So you get a little forward bend out of it. Rest in the forward bend, and then roll up. Roll up the middle. Right, and let's just try the other side. So my arms float up. I tip to the side. All right, so I can have restful arms, right? Or I can have lengthening arms. Or the top arm might even create more length on that side coming overhead. Again, that's it. I can roll towards the middle and roll back up whenever I'm ready. Good. Yeah, so counter poses. Yeah, counter pose really is a movement, shaking the legs, shaking the arms. I love to do a little pattern where I think of shaking combinations of 2 in the limbs, right? So, you know, you can shake both legs if your feet stay on the ground, yeah, or both arms, or an arm and a leg, yeah. Maybe 3 limbs at a time, you know, 2 legs and an arm, 2 arms and a leg. Yeah. All 4, which is the simplest. Good. Okay. Let's do one more side bending pose standing. We'll do side bending tree. All right, so I'm going to demonstrate with the pillar. You want to stay on your mat or you want to go to the wall? Mat? Okay. Okay, so if I'm going to do side bending tree and I've got if my hand's on a chair or on a wall or a pillar, the leg that comes up is the leg that's closer to the wall, we would say. All right, so I create my tree pose, you know, whatever level I want my foot at, low or high. And then I've got the long leg side, and I just take that arm on the long leg side and take it over and create a crescent shape, right? This tree pose is no different than upright tree. I exhale and find my feet resting. That encourages my pelvis to rest. All right. Well, of course, you just put the gesture leg down or the gesture foot down at some point. Any amount of wobbling, wiggling, twisting, swinging, right? Just to release a bit more, and then try the other side. Right? So again, the leg that is closest to the wall, if I am using a wall, is the one that comes up. Then I've got the long leg side. I take the arm on the long leg side and let it guide me into the side bend. If your neck isn't in love with side bending, you can turn and look at the floor, and then maybe encourage your neck to try the side bend again. Good. And release the posture when you're ready. Okay. All right. So I would suggest actually doing that big circling arm movement one more time. Another option is the fingers interlaced and the hands turned over. And again, just notice and feel the actual experience of side bending, twisting. Oh, there's my forward bend. Side bending, twisting. Oh, there's my back bend. Soft knees. Make sure the head drops in your forward bend. Change directions at some point. Good. All right. Just let yourself take 2 or 3 breaths in Tadasana. A place to rest, a place to be comfortable. All right. Bring yourself to the floor. Just ask yourself, is there anything you need to do or want to do prior to settling into your final relaxation? Very typical would be child's pose, little boat, maybe even a gentle twist. Right? So give yourself a moment to do what is necessary for your body. Feel the shape of your body. As always, so important. Feel the ground underneath you and then rest more deeply into it. And be with your breath. When it seems like the right time for you, settle into your final positioning for Shavasana, either lying down or sitting. I'm going to leave you to breathe in silence just briefly, and then I have a little reading I'd like to offer. When I allow myself to feel my body, when I can inhabit it and allow myself to close off the world beyond my flesh, I become who I am, energy and spirit. I am not my mind. I am not my brain. I am stardust, comets, nebulae, and galaxies. I am trees and wind and stone. I am space. I am emptiness and wholeness at the same time. That is when my body sings to me a glorious ancient song, redolent with mystery, seeking to remain mystery. Connecting to it, living with it, becoming it even for a moment. I am healed and made more. Ceremony, whatever brings you closer to your essential self. When I allow myself to feel my body, when I can inhabit it and allow myself to close off the world beyond my flesh, I become who I am, energy and spirit. I am not my mind, I am not my brain. I am stardust, comets, nebulae, and galaxies. I am trees and wind and stone. I am space. I am emptiness and wholeness at the same time. That is when my body sings to me a glorious ancient song, redolent with mystery, seeking to remain mystery. Connecting to it, living with it, becoming it even for a moment, I am healed and made more. Ceremony is whatever brings you closer to your essential self.